9:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Chris Hand. Good morning. Welcome in to Thursday, December 7th, the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. It's a big day. We also have our Super Talk live event happening tonight. Scoreboard at Cedar Creek Marina. Are you hype? The people are hype.
Let's go.
Dan thinks I'm trolling him about the tree. Am I not borrowing Mac Murphy's truck after the show today?
Yeah, I think Murphy got a trailer and everything. Yeah, because it wouldn't even fit in the truck. Of course.
So
we've called the restaurant to make sure they've got the double doors.
You did call them?
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep.
Thank you.
Of course.
I thought I was gonna have to talk to the salesperson. I appreciate you, man.
Of course.
So yeah, we got our big Christmas party, Super Talk Live Christmas edition. You know, they're positioning it as a New Year's party. We're going to talk about the year behind us, the year ahead of us. No. We're focused on Christmas. So, Dan thinks I'm trolling him about the tree. You've seen the tree.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. He's gonna be shocked.
He's going to be shocked. Thinks I'm trolling him. Why would I troll him?
That's not in your nature.
Also, for the record, though, I do. I troll him all the time. Like a minute ago, Mac was in here. Dan said, "Here." He passed me the one sheet with the info for the Super Talk Live event, which we've been talking about it now for
you've got it down. We know.
I don't need the sheet. Plus, the internet exists anyway. I said, "Oh, is this tonight?"
And Dan was like, "Well, oh my gosh!"
Yeah,
and then he just realized
he blew me off. So we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight. Scoreboard, Cedar Creek Marina. Anthony wants to know, Mac, are you coming? Are you coming? Mac will be there. Don't worry. It's gonna be awesome.
Anthony, I'll be there in spirit at least.
No, he's coming. He's coming. I'll make him. Don't worry. It ain't a party till Mac rolls in. I'll tell you what.
That's true.
Here's the deal. I have a big show for you today. I don't want to freak anybody out. I don't want to freak you out, Mac. I thought Ron DeSantis did really good last night in the debate.
What?
I do.
Whoa.
Not trolling.
That's actually serious.
Completely serious.
Whoa.
All right, so the debate, I know not a lot of people watched. I know. It's on News Nation. I had to jump through hoops. I felt like a trained circus animal the way I had to jump through hoops to find News Nation last night.
Just to watch any of this.
Just to watch it, knowing I wasn't going to enjoy it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it was on super early. I'm rushing to put kids to bed, and then I have to jump through hoops. Thanks.
Yeah, just to, yeah.
Thanks, Ronna McDaniels, for putting that on News Nation. Ronna McDaniel. Before I get a super text, it's not McDaniels.
Not McDaniels.
It's not McDaniels. Sorry. So I thought DeSantis did good.
Wow.
I thought that this was the best he looked, believe it or not. Of course, Vivek, again, was the winner. Vivek was the clear-cut favorite. But DeSantis was right there all night. Chris Christie is who we thought he was. And Nikki Haley, I don't think she just saw her presidential aspirations evaporate. But last night, I think she saw her political career ruined. She was completely exposed. Vivek and DeSantis slapped her around all night. When the subject of war came up, that's her thing. That's her expertise. She had nothing to say. On China, they slapped her around. On child sex change operations, she had nothing to say. And I don't think she beat anyone. The donor class cheered for her. The elite wealthy donors who paid for those front row seats, they seemed to like her. But she didn't do anything. And I think it's really telling when you're looking at social media, okay? Each of these, candidates, I say that with air quotes. Each of the candidates are posting in real time their clips, their zingers, their one-liners, their moments from the debate stage. DeSantis posted over a dozen. He posted so many clips because he was proud of his performance. And to his credit, I think he did really good. Vivek, he posted in real time tons of clips. Vivek, to his credit, came out and did what he's coming to be known for, mop the floor with these people. Nikki Haley, do you know how many clips she posted on Twitter from the debate performance?
How many?
One.
Whoa.
Just one.
Yikes.
She posted her clothes.
Aw.
And I think it's really telling that even her campaign, even the people that run her social media accounts went, yeah, not a great night.
Yeah, let's
Not a great
bury
night.
this.
Yeah, let's
Wow.
just forget about this. It was on News Nation. Hopefully nobody saw it. Hopefully nobody remembers this. Not a great night. On Vivek Ramaswamy, I'm out on the plant talk. I don't think he's a plant anymore. I think that we can all agree now, moving forward, he's not a plant. I think that he's pretty red-pilled. I think he probably became red-pilled throughout COVID like so many people did. And when you see the GOP elite donors booing him, when you see Chris Christie and Nikki Haley seethe every time they're around him, I think that tells us a lot about who Vivek is. The donor class hates him. The establishment Republican candidates hate him. And he's consistently proven that he's going to say what you and I are thinking when no one else will. And I've also seen the viral videos that compare him to Obama. I've seen those. People send them to me. I get where people are coming from. He's come out of nowhere, and people want to compare him to Obama. And they have these videos where it's like, here's what Obama said. Here's what Vivek said. I think some of those lines from Vivek in those viral videos comparing him to Obama are a little bit out of context. Like that one line where he says, "I'm just the guy with a funny last name," and then they play the version of Obama saying it from the one debate. I think that he said that tongue in cheek. But guys, I think he's good. But I also think at the same time it's good to be patient. And I think that when you see a candidate, just scream out of the gates the way Vivek did, to be patient, figure out who he is smart. And I think it's always good to be patient and prep for the worst. But he seems so solid. And I also want to point out how much of a service this guy has done for our movement just by being in the debates, just by showing up and being willing to talk about what people don't want you to talk about. Vivek has done a service to the conservative movement. He's moved the Overton window far more right of what the acceptable discussion is. He's moved it even further right. He's basically been a stand-in for Trump during these debates. And possibly, dare I say, said some things even better in some cases, while at the same time posing no threat to Donald Trump when it comes to the nomination. I think Vivek is setting himself up for a run in 2028 or maybe a cabinet position with Trump. I think he's super solid. Again, DeSantis, it was the best I've seen out of him. Thought he did good. He had some cheeseball moments like he always does. Like at one point when he's talking about the cartels and the border, he said, they're going to know there's a new sheriff in town and buckle up. And it's like, yeah, that's cheesy. It's cheesy. But whoever got him ready for this debate, I think, did a good job. He went after BlackRock. He went after sex change surgeries for kids. He went after central banking digital currencies. But he still didn't really have that viral moment where he really stood out. Vivek had, 5 or 6 of those last night. Ron had that moment where he was talking about migration in Europe. But Vivek went on and went full replacement theory. So Ron still plays it safe. I still think Ron would be getting us into new wars. I still think that he's probably much more establishment than a guy like Vivek. I still don't want him as president, but I'm not going to hate on him for last night. I know it's shocking. I don't really have many bad things to say about Ron at all. Even with his cheeseball moments when he's talking about the cartels and he said, buckle up. That's just becoming Ron DeSantis. That's Ron. That's who he is. He's kind of cheesy. He leans in on the dad jokes, I guess. But I liked what he said when he was talking about election integrity in Florida, but at the same time, being willing to play by the wacky rules of some of these swing states when it comes to ballot harvesting and Zuckerbucks in other states. I totally agree with that. However, I do worry when it comes to those operations of ballot harvesting and Zuckerbucks that the Republican Party is going to be too late to the game with that to be as effective as we should. But I thought he was absolutely on point with it. And I think the reason we're going to be too late to the party with that is because we have Ronna McDaniel in charge. If we had a guy like Scott Pressler in charge of the RNC, we'd probably be in a much better position to capitalize on those things. But he was right. We do need to play by the rules that are set out in these swing states. We do need to capitalize on ballot harvesting. We do need to play a Zuckerbucks type game. in these purple states. Otherwise, we're probably going to lose those purple states because the Democrats are established and ready to go. They've done it, and they've proved to be effective a few times now. Also, at this point, I would love to see DeSantis versus Vivek versus Trump in a debate. Will it happen? No. Trump would have too much to lose. He doesn't have anything to gain in that situation. But just as me, a guy that really views politics as another form of entertainment, full disclosure, while I do think there's a lot at stake, I find a lot of entertainment out of it. I don't think there'd be anything better than a Vivek versus DeSantis versus Trump debate. It won't happen. I think Trump is still the clear-cut favorite for the nomination, and I still want him to see him in 2024, but I would love it. I really would. All right, you guys want to go to the highlights? Let's go to the highlights. This is Vivek on Nikki Haley. Oh, no. Let's not start there. Let's start with Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly spent about 30 seconds absolutely roasting Chris Christie. This was Chris Christie's viral moment, one of his viral moments for all the wrong reasons. Chris Christie, I said, that DeSantis didn't really have any viral moments. I think it's a little bit better than the opposite side of that coin, which is Chris Christie, who had viral moments for all the wrong reasons, including this moment with Megyn Kelly.
His approval rating with Republicans is currently at 81%. Yours is at 25. Your best state is New Hampshire, and even there, 2/3 of GOP voters say they would be angry and disappointed if you won. Respectfully, Governor, you have not stopped Mr. Trump, and voters may wonder how you could possibly become the nominee of a party that does not appear to like you very much.
Oh, my gosh. Chris Christie was seething, so much so that after they went to commercial break, after that happened, he walked up to the desk and had words with Megyn Kelly. Poor guy. He expects that from Vivek. He didn't expect it from Megyn Kelly. The knockout blow.
His approval rating with Republicans is currently at 81%.
Talk about
Yours
Trump.
is at 25. Your best state is New Hampshire, and even there, 2/3 of GOP voters say they would be angry and disappointed if you won. Respectfully, Governor, you have not stopped Mr. Trump, and voters may wonder how you could possibly become the nominee of a party that does not appear to like you very much.
I had it. Megyn Kelly, that's the only clip that got the UFC treatment.
That wasn't live audio? Wow.
No. Yeah, that was that. I know nobody saw it on News Nation, so yeah, let's do the community note down at the bottom.
Exactly.
Little community note our own break. This was not the live reaction of the audience.
That does not appear to like you very much.
That was not. It was the reaction of everyone at home, but it was not the reaction of the audience. In fact, the audience was all GOP elite donors for the most part, and they weren't happy. They weren't. The GOP donors were the big losers last night because Nikki Haley was eviscerated. At one point, Chris Christie went full white knight trying to defend Nikki Haley because Vivek called her dumb. How dare you besmirch Nikki Haley?
How dare you? With the donors in the front row?
In front of the donors?
Come
this
on.
Is what you do? Low class, sir. Low class. I love that. We didn't hear much from the moderators in terms of, getting in the way, but that point from Megyn Kelly was so awesome. So awesome. All right, so I want to get to some of this audio. But as you can hear, the music is playing underneath me. So we'll do that when we get back. Hang out with us. It's 9:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Busy Bee HVAC. As it's getting colder, I am so excited to be a member of the Beehive. You know, if power goes out not if power goes out, if the heat goes out, we don't have to wait in line any longer because we're a member of the Busy Bee Club. Don't wait for a problem, though, to pop up with your heater this time of year as it gets colder. Be proactive. Keep your unit in tip-top shape with Busy Bee. Whether you need annual maintenance, repair, or a replacement heating and air system, call who I trust, Busy Bee HVAC. You're not going to find a better value on replacement systems in Middle Tennessee. These guys will offer up to 12 months, no payment, no interest with approved credit, and it pays in so many ways to sign up for the annual maintenance on your heating and air system from Busy Bee. Plus, with those added rewards and savings, sign up to be a Beehive member. You get thorough annual maintenance on your heating and air at the beginning of each heating and cooling season, and for just $99 per year per unit. No overtime charges, 24/7, and 10% off all repairs. Remember, they have convenient Saturday availability for those maintenance calls, and you will never be left out in the cold with Busy Bee HVAC. Busy Bee, your Rude Pro partner. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee HVAC, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833 or online, busybehvac.com.
Rolling roadblock blocking the way in Bellevue, 40 eastbound, right before Highway 70 south. Then in Williamson County, you got a crash, slowing things down 65 northbound, right past Saturn Parkway. Looks like a resolution has been introduced in the House, moving Republicans closer to trying to impeach President Biden. Details coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. I just had a mini heart attack in here. So there's like a dangling wire underneath the board.
Thought it was one of those Chinese spiders.
Well, no, but I took my leg. I had my leg on top of one leg, and I moved it, and I pulled this wire out, and my headphones just went dead.
Ooh.
Luckily, I put it back together.
That's terrifying.
I MacGyvered that thing. All right, it is Pearl Harbor Day. Glenn in Franklin, who's also a veteran, has something to say about Pearl Harbor Day. Glenn, you're on Super Talk, and Mac told me that it's also your birthday, sir, and I just want to be the first to say happy birthday.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Appreciate everything that you do to inform us of everything that's going on. Love your show. Love you guys.
Thank you so much.
Keep up the good work. I'm praying for you guys all like that. It is my birthday, almost to the minute, 11 years later. And as far as Pearl Harbor, I pray for all that. I hope we never get into another situation like that. And it's an honor to have my birthday upon this day because I remind people of the horrific things that had happened through that. My dad, stepdad, uncles, grandfather, my mother even was in all that. So I stand here as part of our nation in honor of that day that we, the greatest nation, the greatest people ever lived, that fought that, and hopefully we never have to go through that. Again, I appreciate everything you do, and God bless our country.
Hey, thanks for those words, Glenn. Thank you for your service, and happy birthday, my friend. We appreciate you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. When we get back after Ken Weaver's newscast, I want to go through the highlights of this debate. I want to play some highlights from Ron DeSantis, who, again, I thought had a really good night. Also, Vivek Ramaswamy, who was light years ahead of everyone else. Hang out with us. It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now, in our nation's capital, House Republicans moving closer to impeaching President Biden. They've introduced a resolution to formally authorize their inquiry, which directs existing House committees to determine whether sufficient grounds exist for impeachment based on the investigations into whether the president benefited from his son's foreign business dealings or abused his office. Right now in New York, former President Trump back in court for his civil fraud trial.
The Attorney General sits here because she knows that she has a judge, and no matter all the evidence, that judge is going to rule in her favor.
The judge already ruling Mr. Trump and members of his family lied about their finances on insurance and tax documents. Now he faces hundreds of millions of dollars in possible fines and the prospect of losing his business charters in New York. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. I recently did a workshop talking about some of the missteps of the investing industry, some of the biggest mutual fund companies out there. You probably recognize these names: Fidelity, Vanguard, Raymond James, Edward Jones. Actually using data and information from their own websites as I walk through this. Now, one of the things I was talking about is diversification and how investors could be in for a rude awakening at the amount of risk that they actually have in their portfolios, and they don't even realize it. Now, the example I like to use to help people understand why why do these huge companies do this? I mean, these are big companies. And you go, well, why? Well, think about the diet industry. In the diet industry, you had things like this: fat-free this, fat-free that, fat-free that. And what happened is they did a study. They were looking at diabetes in children. And what they found was that when they went fat-free, they actually ended up with more diabetes rather than less, because what they substituted for fat was sugar. Now, what happens in the mutual fund industry, they tend to keep costs low by investing in very narrow areas of the market that are inexpensive to manage. So what happens is the investor ends up with more risk than they think that they've got. Now, why do they do that? Because you are actually attracted by low costs. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't use these big mutual fund companies, it just means that you have to be eyes wide open. As an investment firm, we help people sidestep these things because sometimes you have no choice. You have a 401k, you're dealing with these fund companies, and you can't go anywhere else. So what we do is we help you go around these landmines. To set up an initial 15-minute phone call, go to our website, paulwinkler.com, or you can just scan the QR code right here. We look forward to talking with you.
I'm sitting off.
Chris, your version of foreign policy experience was closing a bridge from New Jersey to New York.
Yeah.
So do everybody a favor, just walk yourself off that stage, enjoy a nice meal, and get the hell out of this race.
That was Vivek Ramaswamy last night talking to none other than Chris Christie. Roasted him for being overweight. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. It's 9:36. Hope you're having a great morning. Take us with you wherever you go all day long with the TuneIn app, the iHeartRadio app, or the 99.7 WTN app. We got so many options for you. I do want to point out, before people say Vivek fat-shamed him, Vivek fat-shamed Chris Christie. It's not the first time. People have been fat-shaming Chris Christie for years. For years. The most famous fat shamer of Chris Christie, which I don't know if you remember this. I remembered it, so I found it for you. Barbara Walters fat shamed him.
What?
You never heard this?
Oh my gosh.
Barbara fat shamed him, but she did it in like her calm Barbara Walters way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sitting opposite you. But you are a little overweight.
More than a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Why are you fat?
If I could figure that out, I'd fix it.
Dude.
Yeah, what?
I love it.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. If I could figure that out, I'd fix it.
Do you try to diet?
Oh, Barbara, I've had more diets and lost and gained back more weight in my lifetime than I care to count.
There are people who say that you couldn't be president because you're so heavy. What do you say to them?
No, that's ridiculous.
There are people who say you couldn't be president because you're so heavy. So funny.
Golly.
Just walk yourself off that stage, enjoy a nice meal, and get the hell out of this race.
Yeah. I tweeted the clip out on my Twitter at Chris Hand on Air if you want to follow. And for the first time, I got to use the pregnant man emoji.
I did see the pregnant man emoji. That's good. That was a nice touch.
There's no fat guy emoji, so I had to use the pregnant man. Vivek was calling people out all night. He called out Nikki Haley over her calls for you to no longer be allowed to be anonymous on social media. This was a great moment because Nikki Haley once again got shut down for her statements. She's been making a bunch of ridiculous statements, whether it's saying that you shouldn't be allowed to be anonymous on social media to her pro-child sex change stance. She was taken to task on all of them. Let's go to social media first.
This is really important for people to understand. We're marching towards fascism under Biden. Jack Smith has subpoenaed every last retweet that someone has issued from Donald Trump in the year 2020. The only person more fascist than the Biden regime now is Nikki Haley, who thinks the government should identify every one of those individuals with an ID. That is not freedom. That is fascism. And she should come nowhere near the levers of power, let alone the White House.
I completely agree with him, and I love the fact that he's booed. One of the things about these debates that you have to realize and remember, Donald Trump was one of the first ones to point it out, the people that are closest to the stage are the elite donor class. They're booing him because they have put so much money in the Nikki Haley basket, and they're realizing how bad of an ROI that is turning into. The return on investment for Nikki Haley is plummeting. And the donor class realized it every time Vivek Ramaswamy opened his mouth and took Nikki Haley to town. When she tried to defend herself, it was kind of crazy. I didn't expect this development. Ron DeSantis jumped in and started having Vivek's back.
We do not need freedom of speech for Russians and Iranians and Hamas. We need social media companies to go and fight back on all of these bots that are happening. That's what I said. As a mom, do I think that social media would be more civil if we went and had people's names next to that? Yes, I do think that, because I think we've got too much cyberbullying. I think we've got child pornography and all of those things. But having said that, I never said government should go and require anyone's name.
That's false. She said, I want your name.
She
as President of the United
said
States, her first day in office, she said, one of the first things I'm going to do.
I said we were going to get the millions of bots.
She wants government ID to dox every American.
That's what she said. You can roll the tape. She said, I want your name. And that was going to be one of the first things she did.
Yeah, you can roll the tape. You can roll the tape. We have the tape. It's what she said. She called for you to no longer be anonymous online. That's what Nikki Haley wants. She doesn't take into account the fact that the Federalist Papers were written under pseudonym. She doesn't care. She just parrots whatever the donor class tells her to say. At least in my opinion, that's how I feel. But we have the tape. It's what she said.
When I get into office, the first thing we have to do, social media accounts, social media companies, they have to show America their algorithms. Let us see why they're pushing what they're pushing. The second thing is every person on social media should be verified by their name.
There it is. By their name. And DeSantis called her out. We have the tape. Roll the tape. We just did.
First thing she did in office, and then she got real serious blowback, and understandably so, because it'd be a massive expansion of government. We have anonymous speech. The Federalist Papers were written with anonymous writers. Jay, Madison, and Hamilton, they went under Publius. It's something that's important, and especially given how conservatives have been attacked and they've lost jobs and they've been canceled. You know the regime would use that to weaponize that against our own people.
Okay,
it was a bad idea, and she owned up to it.
And she kept going, that's not what I said. It is what you said. In fact, she said it not once, but twice.
They need to verify every single person on their outlet and I want it by name.
I want it by name. That's not what I said. I said we need to get rid of Russian bots. Fact check, false. What she said. We have the tape. I don't understand how people running for office these days don't understand that the internet exists and that anything you say is there forever.
And you knew that clip went viral. You knew that was going to be a talking point last night at the debate. You knew the other, your opponents were going to be ready to come at your throat with that. Why didn't you have a defense?
And she had no defense ready, and all she could say was, I didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
We have 2 clips right here. And to your point, it went viral. How are you so unprepared for that?
That needed to be your moment.
She should have had something ready to go.
Something ready.
But she didn't. She doesn't have anything ready. Crazy. Like you said, it went viral and you're not prepped. Maybe, and she only put one of her clips on Twitter from the debate. She knows she had a poor performance.
Yeah, that's sad.
She knows. She should drop out immediately. She should have dropped out when she made those comments. She definitely should have dropped out when she made the sex change comments, saying that parents have the right to make those decisions for their kids. DeSantis had a moment where he was talking about the sex changes, and I thought that he did great, but there was something that he missed. This is DeSantis on the sex change operations.
He didn't respond to the criticism. It wasn't about the Parents' Rights and Education bill. It was about prohibiting sex change operations on minors. They do puberty blockers. These are irreversible. Talk to Chloe Cole. She went through this. Now she's an adult. She's warning against it. She may never be able to have kids again. That is what Nikki Haley opposed. She said the law shouldn't get involved in that. And I just ask you, if you're somebody that's going to be the president of the United States and you can't stand up against child abuse, how are you going to be able to stand up for anything? That is the truth. We have it on video.
It seemed like her defense all night long was, I never said that. I never said that. Now, to DeSantis's point, when he brings up Chloe Cole, one of the missed opportunities that he had there was that in Chloe Cole's testimony, Chloe Cole, if you don't know, is a detransitioner. She believed for a certain amount of time that she was transgender. She was a boy in a girl's body. But part of her story is that the medical industrial complex not only duped her, but duped her parents. And that is so key to the discussion when you say it should be the parents' decision. Well, the medical industrial complex will tell the parents, do you want your daughter to become a boy or do you want your daughter to commit suicide? And that's how the medical industrial complex sold the bill of goods to Chloe Cole's parents. That is a key part of her story. DeSantis is a big story guy. He always has these stories like a classic politician. I know someone from Iowa who does this. If you're going to bring up the story, you can't miss the key element. Because when Nikki Haley was talking about child sex changes, she said it should be up to the parents. But the parents of Chloe Cole were duped. And when she says, I've never said that, DeSantis again nails her. We have the tape, and we do.
Madam Ambassador, another question is what care should be on the table when a 12-year-old child in this country, assigned female at birth, says, actually, I feel more comfortable living as a boy. What should the law allow the response to be?
Well, I think the law should stay out of it, and I think parents should handle it.
And again, I think parents should handle it. But Chloe Cole's parents handled it. The detransitioner DeSantis brought up. And they handled it the wrong way because they were duped by Big Pharma and the medical industrial complex. It should be absolutely illegal for children to go through these child sex change operations. It should be absolutely illegal to be able to prescribe kids puberty blockers. And you're either against it or you're for it. There's no middle ground here. None. No middle ground at all. Nikki Haley seems like she's trying to play both sides of the fence. I'm glad DeSantis nailed her on it. And DeSantis, to his credit, has been against this for a long time. And I will tip my hat to that. I will. He also slammed Nikki Haley on men going into little girls' bathrooms.
This shows how hypocritical Ron continues to be. When he was running for governor and they asked him about that, he said he didn't think bathroom bills were a good use of his time. You can go look that up.
I signed a bathroom bill in Florida, so that's obviously not true.
He roasted her at the same time. He does his cheeseball Ron thing with his laughing.
Yeah. You can't help it.
But he nailed her. He nailed her.
You can go look that up.
I signed a bathroom bill in Florida, so that's obviously not true.
So the idea that you would say that I was against
that. You didn't. You killed it. I signed it. I stood up for little girls. You didn't do it. And there was this going on. I was actually just in South Carolina. Some of the legislators told me at the time there were boys going into the girls. That's the whole reason why they did it.
No.
And so they say when she does that explanation that doesn't hold water. And this is the upstate of South Carolina.
Ron,
I signed the bill. I protected the girls.
Do you know South Carolinians?
She did not do it.
Do you know South Carolinians? Because South Carolina.
DeSantis did good last night. DeSantis did great. I don't think he did as great as Vivek Ramaswamy, but he was on point. He was on point a lot. And another guy that was up there, Chris Christie, apparently he's also pro-sex change for minors, which is insane. How is anybody on the Republican primary debate stage and they're pro-sex change for minors? He says the government shouldn't get involved. Again, when you look at the story of Chloe Cole, the detransitioner, her parents were duped by the medical industrial complex. We need to protect those parents from making these mistakes as much as we need to protect the kids from making these mistakes.
Don't know that slippery slope, what rights are going to be taken away next, and what's going to be focused on.
As a parent, you do not have the right to abuse your kids. This is cutting off their genitals. Amen. This is mutilating these minors. These are irreversible procedures, and this is something that other countries in Europe, like Sweden, once they started doing it, they saw it did incalculable damage. They've shut it down. I signed legislation in Florida banning the mutilation of minors because it is wrong. We cannot allow this to happen in this country. And I know Chris disagrees with me, and I think he has an honest position. Nikki disagrees with me. She opposes the bill that we did to ban that. She said the law shouldn't get involved with it. You said the law shouldn't get involved with it. She also, though, I think, and this flows from what she did as governor of South Carolina, they had a bill to try to say that men shouldn't go into girls' bathrooms. And she killed that bill, and she bragged that she killed that bill. Even to this day, she bragged that. I don't think men should be going into little girls' bathrooms. I think it's wrong, and I think we have every right to protect them from that.
DeSantis just crushed both of them. Crushed them. And all Nikki Haley could say was, I did not. I did not. That was Nikki Haley all night. I didn't say that. I didn't do that. That's not what I said. And to his credit, DeSantis on numerous occasions. Roll the tape. We have the tape. The internet lives forever. Just roll the tape. I have more audio from this debate. I would love to know what you think about it. I would love to know what your takes are on what happened at the debate last night. If you want to call in, text in, 615-737-9986. 2666 texted in and said, she sounds like a whiny brat. I did not.
I did not.
I did not. 5327 texted in and said, none of the four candidates will ever be president of the USA.
Bingo.
Yep. But we still had fun, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we still had fun. Jim texted in, Nikki Haley equals Bill Clinton. I didn't have sex in the office. Yeah, it was pretty much the same line, right? I did not do that. believe it or not. Well, we don't believe you. 9:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I wanted to touch on the history of Tethered and kind of how it came about.
There was a handful of us that were already using similar equipment. At the time, however, you couldn't just go to the store and buy saddle equipment. It just didn't exist. And selfishly, we just were making gear that nobody else would make for us and that we wanted ourselves. And our goal was just to make enough to break even. Fortunately for everybody involved, it took off. It's got an appeal. People really liked it.
When you think of a saddle, that's what I think of. That's the first name that I think of when I hear about a saddle.
For me, the reason I got into it was I'm hunting public land, and most of the time I'm going pretty deep. Being lightweight and mobile was huge. I walk in with a pack and my bow. That's it. The more I did it, I was like, man, there's so many features here that are helping me improve as a hunter, where I can take different shot angles and stuff. And I'm going to tell you, I feel safe with this rope all the time.
Yeah.
From the ground up, I'm hooked in. If I fall off this thing, I'm just going to swing a little bit. And I think the learning curve is small. It's just about getting comfortable with your equipment. It's the biggest thing. And for me, it's repetition and then fine-tuning that to meet my needs. And that's the cool thing. What I like and what might meet my needs might be a little different from you. And even though we're doing the same thing, you can tweak it to meet your needs. And I really like that aspect about it.
But we've done a really good job of just innovating and creating products that don't exist. You're seeing the growth of the sport. You're seeing the innovation. And you're seeing all of these cool things that we make, and it's because we actually use it.
Got stuff in the way out there. Rolling roadblocks, I-40 eastbound. That's causing some traffic backup right there on the Cheatham-Davidson County line. Then in Williamson County, Spring Hill to be precise, got a crash. 65 northbound just past Saturn Parkway. House Republicans have taken another step toward impeaching President Biden. We'll tell you about it at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. I'm so excited that Kevin McCarthy's not going to be in Congress anymore. Do you remember the tweet that he posted where he says, "I never quit"? It didn't age well. Didn't age well at all. I just posted a tweet, if you want to check it out, about Taylor Swift, Person of the Year. Mac liked the tweet. It's very funny.
It is funny.
There's a Photoshop of someone sniffing her. I'm not going to tell you who it is.
Watch it, Jack.
You got to go to my Twitter to find out. At Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I'll follow back. And when we get back, I have more audio from the debate, including the highlights from Vivek Ramaswamy, where he basically calls everyone on stage bootlickers. I love it. It's 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ten o'clock on the dot this Thursday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now in our nation's capital, House Republicans taking another step toward trying to impeach President Biden. Today, they unveiled the resolution to formally authorize the inquiry, with a vote likely to happen on Wednesday. The inquiry is to determine whether President Biden used his influence to make his family rich through foreign business deals his son Hunter was involved in. It also focuses on an allegation raised in an FBI tip sheet that says Joe Biden took bribes from Ukrainian energy company Burisma, for which Hunter Biden was a board member, to pressure the Ukrainian government to fire a prosecutor. Well, the president of the University of Pennsylvania is walking back her public testimony to Congress about anti-Semitism on her campus, which sparked backlash.
Ms. McGill, at Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment.
Well, that was Tuesday. Fast forward to today. Here's what Liz McGill is saying now that there are calls she be fired.
The call for genocide of Jewish people is a call for some of the most terrible violence human beings can perpetrate.
Turns out Pennsylvania's governor, who is Jewish, saying he wants McGill fired. Meanwhile, in Gaza, Israeli forces have intensified the campaign. Now in the south, say they're looking for the leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar.
One strategy that's possibly being discussed is to pump seawater into the tunnels underneath Gaza to flush Hamas fighters out. That's according to the Wall Street Journal, who's spoken to U.S. officials. But it's risky. It would destroy water filter systems and could, of course, endanger those remaining hostages.
James Longman says more than 130 hostages still somewhere in Gaza. And that's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
10:04 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Chris Hand. I know Murphy usually does he tells everybody what the title of the episode is. We don't usually do that. But today I think it's funny. You titled the episode today, Mac. Yesterday we discovered snow is real. Today, who knows what we will uncover. Oh, that may have been the highlight of broadcasting on 99.7 WTN so far.
Me fact-checking snow.
Well, it was so funny because I kind of like grilled you. I was like, dude, check it. You were like, okay.
All right,
okay,
shoot,
I'll
wet
fact
snow.
check it. Yeah, wet snow is real. Birds are too.
Yes. Bird drones are too.
Bird drones are too. Somebody saw a bird one time and said, you know what? I'm going to kill that thing and put a motor on it and spy on commies. Actually happened. It's a true story. The CIA did it during the Cold War. What can't those guys do? We were talking about the debate last night. I want your reaction. Give me a call if you watched it. I know it was on News Nation, so you probably didn't. It was hard for me to find it, too. We were jumping through hoops.
Why was it on News Nation? Was it just because they got the fourth debate, I guess?
Do they pay for that?
I assume there's a contract or something. And I bet when they signed up for that contract, they thought Donald Trump would be on the debate stage, you know?
Yeah, I wonder if they pay a lot more.
I never thought about that. But yeah, these contracts were probably signed, before last year, who knows?
Yeah, they probably signed them a long time ago.
Yep. Thinking, okay, great, we'll have Donald Trump. This will be crazy ratings.
Womp, womp, womp. All right, but there was some big moments last night at the debate. Vivek Ramaswamy did what Vivek Ramaswamy has been doing consistently. I made the point that I thought DeSantis did good. But Vivek Ramaswamy, again, was lights out. Lights out. And this was one of the highlights of the night. Vivek Ramaswamy calling out Nikki Haley for not knowing 3 provinces in Ukraine.
I want to say one thing about the tie to Ukraine, if I may. So foreign policy experience is not the same as foreign policy wisdom. I want everybody at home to note that I was the first person to say we need a reasonable peace deal in Ukraine. Now a lot of the neocons are quietly coming along to that position, with the exceptions of Nikki Haley and Joe Biden, who still support this, what I believe is pointless war in Ukraine. And I think those with foreign policy experience, one thing that Joe Biden and Nikki Haley have in common is that neither of them could even state for you 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that they want to send our troops to actually fight for. Look at that. This is what I want people to understand. These people she has no idea what the hell the names of those provinces are, but she wants to send our sons and daughters and our troops and our military equipment to go fight it. So reject this myth that they've been selling you, that somebody had a cup of coffee stint at the UN and then makes $8 million after, has real foreign policy experience. It takes an outsider to see this through. Look at the blank expression. She doesn't know the names of the provinces that she wants to actually fight for. And there's her puppet masters right there. The donors right there that are playing her like the puppet masters.
Hold on.
Boo, says the political donors. Boo. He calls them out. They're the puppet masters booing. Boo. Meanwhile, Nikki Haley with her blank stare. She has nothing to say. Nothing. Nikki, would you like to comment on what the 3 provinces are? All right. Thank you, Nikki. After that happened, Chris Christie tried to go full white knight. He's upset at Vivek Ramaswamy, and he takes a swing at him, basically, and then he tried to defend Nikki Haley's honor.
Let me tell you something. That's no reasonable.
That's not my deal. That's not my deal.
Yes, it's exactly what you said. You do this at every debate.
I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you. Okay? You say this.
About how you do this.
You do this at every debate. You go out on the stump and you say something. All of us see it on video. We confront you out on the debate stage. You say you didn't say it, and then you back away. And I want to say
exactly what I said, Chris.
I'm not done yet.
He's, he says he's not done yet, but what he was describing is basically Nikki Haley's debate performance last night. You say something, then we show you the video, and you say you didn't say it. That was Nikki Haley all night long. Whether it came to child sex changes, whether it came to anonymity online, that was Nikki Haley the entire night. Nikki Haley was eviscerated. And for some reason, Chris Christie is all up in arms about it. And he feels the need to go at Vivek Ramaswamy for it. And he feels the need to defend Nikki Haley's honor.
Well, this is
now look.
This man is spewing. This man is spewing nonsense.
That's the donor class cheering Chris Christie defending Nikki Haley, by the way. That's not a real audience. That's the GOP elite donor class cheering him.
This is the fourth debate that you would be voted in the first 20 minutes as the most obnoxious blowhard in America. So shut up for a very long.
What a blowhard. Donald Duck.
I'm going to respond to that.
We're going to let you respond to that. We're going to let you respond to that. Let him finish.
I want to say something else.
Say it, Chris. Don't let somebody say mean things about Nikki Haley.
We're now 25 minutes into this debate, and he has insulted Nikki Haley's basic intelligence, not her positions, her basic intelligence. She doesn't know regions. She wouldn't be able to find something on a map that his 3-year-old could find. Look, if you want to disagree on issues, that's fine. And Nikki and I disagree on some issues. But I'll tell you this, I've known her for 12 years, which is longer than he's even started to vote in a Republican primary.
Okay. Nikki Haley's a good lady, I'll tell you what. She's so smart. How could you say that? And again, he accuses Vivek of doing what Nikki Haley did all night. You make a statement, then you say you didn't say it. That was all night long. And to Vivek's credit, when he calls Nikki Haley out for not knowing the 3 provinces in Ukraine that she wants to send our sons and daughters to fight Russia, that's a gamble. That's a big gamble. If Nikki Haley just spouts him off right away, Vivek looks foolish. And that's the viral clip. But she was so unprepared. Like just about everything else. She was unprepared to defend her take that went viral about child sex change operations. She was unprepared to defend her take on online anonymity. She was woefully unprepared the entire night. Vivek took her to town. You know it's bad when Chris Christie feels the need to defend Nikki Haley. You know it's bad. 4200 says, boo to Chris Hand, who celebrates the use of neocons, which is a pejorative introduced by Fatso Michael Moore. Chris can be on Moore's payroll. I'll support conservatives. Get some knowledge about your terms, youngster. All right. Will do.
That's right, youngster.
All right. I'm sorry. Is Nikki Haley not a neocon warhawk? Is she not?
Pejorative.
You know, it kind of brings me to my next clip from Vivek Ramaswamy, where he calls out all 3 on the debate stage, Ron, Nikki, and Chris Christie, and he calls them bootlickers because these are the same people that were around Donald Trump when he was president, cheering him on, helping him out, begging for things, and now they're calling him out and calling him names. Vivek hasn't gone at Trump once. But the others, when Trump had power, when Trump had influence, they loved him. They loved him. But now, now he's Orange Man bad.
And why has your campaign made a point of referring to
It's unbelievable.
Ambassador Haley by her given first name, Nimarata, even though she's gone by Nikki for her whole life?
Well, my whole deal is if Nikki Haley, of all people, should know how to pronounce my name correctly, the rest of the news media can learn it. My deal is I'll call her Nikki when she can say my own name right. That's our little fun side bet there. Here's what I will say is deeper. I don't question her faith, but I question her authenticity. And I think that's deeper here. We were just talking about the trans issue. This is a symptom of a deeper cancer in American life, identity politics. This new religion that says your race, your gender, and your sexuality are your identity. It is anti-American. It is meritocratic, it's anti-meritocratic, and it is dividing this country to a breaking point.
I'm sorry, that was the wrong clip. So that was him calling out, he was called out for calling Nikki Haley Nimrata. This is him when he attacked Chris Christie, Nikki Haley, and Ron DeSantis about being bootlickers.
Here's my issue with all three of my other colleagues on this debate stage. Is all three of them have been licking Donald Trump's boots for years for money and endorsements. Ron DeSantis, you've been a great governor, but you would have never been one without actually begging Donald Trump for that endorsement.
And you attacked him in your book a year ago.
Same thing with Chris Christie as a lobbyist, begging them for COVID money for his special interests in New Jersey, prepping him for the debates last time around. These people are now Monday morning quarterbacking some decision he made. I think the real enemy is not Donald Trump. It's not even Joe Biden. It is the deep state that at least Donald Trump attempted to take on. And if you want somebody who's going to speak truth to power, then vote for somebody who's going to speak the truth to you. Why am I the only person on the stage, at least, who can say that January 6th now does look like it was an inside job? That the government lied to us for 20 years about Saudi Arabia's involvement in 9/11? That the Great Replacement theory is not some grand right-wing conspiracy theory, but a basic statement of the Democratic Party's platform. That the 2020 election was indeed stolen by big tech. That the 2016 election, the one that Trump won for sure, was also one that was stolen from him by the national security establishment that actually put up the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that they knew was false. There's a reason why I'm the only person on the stage who can say these things. That's what it's going to take, not people who are licking his boots one time and now Monday morning quarterbacking him and criticizing him when it's convenient.
I mean, he's roasting them. He's roasting them to their faces. Every single one of them are guilty of that. DeSantis wouldn't have been governor without Trump. Nikki Haley was in his orbit, loved Trump. Chris Christie helped him prep for debates. Where's the lie? And when he goes full red pill and he starts talking about the fact that Saudi Arabia was involved in 9/11. True. When he starts talking about the fact that J6 was an inside job. Facts. Even Mike Johnson yesterday we played a clip where Mike Johnson saying, "Well, we want to release the footage, but we got to blur some faces first." The faces of who? Probably the faces of feds. Because everybody and their grandmother, literally, that was at the Capitol on January 6th has been arrested, interviewed by the FBI. Even guys like Owen Schroyer, who wasn't even inside the Capitol, was arrested. J6 was an inside job. The election was rigged by big tech. The replacement theory, we're watching it happen in real time. You know, Ron DeSantis also brought up replacement theory. He didn't go as hard as Vivek Ramaswamy. He kind of danced around it a little bit more, but he talked about the fact that, you know, the mass migration in Europe is something that we need to be careful of, and they're in big trouble with the migration that they have in Europe. And I thought Ron DeSantis was on point here as well.
But look what's happened in Europe. You have more anti-Semitism in Germany than at any time since Adolf Hitler. Why? Because they imported mass numbers of people who reject their culture. Europe is committing suicide with the mass migration, and it's illegal and legal. Nikki Haley said the other day there should be no limits on legal immigration, and that corporate CEOs should set the policy on that. There needs to be limits on immigration, and we should not be importing people from cultures that are hostile. So, for example, I said with the Gaza, you had some of the squad wanted to import 300,000 people from the Gaza Strip. I said, no, we're not taking anyone from Gaza because of the anti-Semitism and because they reject American culture. So we've got to get smart about this. We cannot let the United States be like Europe.
Amen. Unfortunately, they're all coming through our southern border right now. Unfortunately, it feels like we're trending that way whether we like it or not. I had mentioned Nikki Haley not being prepared, and 1833 texted in and said, Chris, she didn't need to be prepared. Her backers were in the front rows. I mean, she probably walked in there feeling really confident, and she's probably having a rough morning today. Could you imagine being in the Nikki Haley camp today?
Oh, yeah. A hero to zero real quick. I mean, heroes maybe a little strong, but
she was surging.
Surging, Chris.
Surging at 7%. The surge was on. It's funny, everybody, there's all these stories that the DeSantis campaign is falling apart, and they are. They've been basically falling apart since his failed Twitter launch. But he came prepped. He came ready. He had his zingers. He went at Nikki Haley. Like he had his talking points ready to go. She had none of that.
Yeah, it sounds like he was at least prepped. I will say from the clips, and I know this isn't necessarily the best auditorial comment, but the way he stands at the podium is interesting.
Like his arms are they're by his side. But he's got about 9 inches between his arms and his waist.
Yes.
He walks like the guy. He stands like the guy that I just been working out.
Yeah, the huge dude at the gym. Yeah. Well, just put your hands on the podium. Relax a little bit. It's okay. Take a breath.
Yeah.
It's very stiff, but he did sound prepped.
Very stiff.
Very stiff.
Very prepped. One of the things I liked about what he said was election integrity. Vivek says a lot of good things, but none of it's going to matter if we don't win 2024. And Ron DeSantis brought up election integrity. And I thought that this was a good point. And again, DeSantis was ready for this tonight. This was the best I feel like I've seen DeSantis in all the debates. In some of the first debates, I felt like he disappeared. He was here and he was ready. This is DeSantis on election integrity. Oh, hang on.
What you should do for election integrity is do what we did in Florida. 20 years ago, Florida and elections was a joke. Everybody would laugh at it. I came in, I removed a couple supervisors from South Florida. We require voter ID universal, no Zuckerbucks, no mass mail balloting, and no ballot harvesting.
But here comes the important part.
We even have an agency that prosecutes people for violating election laws.
Right here.
The result of that, in both 2020 and 2022, we counted millions and millions of votes on election night, produced the results, it was transparent, and everybody was happy. That is not happening throughout this country. But let me tell you this as the nominee. I think it's important. Not every state's where we need it to be. There is ballot harvesting in places like Nevada, all these places. I am not going to fight with one hand tied behind my back. I'm going to have organizations in all the swing states. If they're harvesting, we're harvesting. If they're Zuckerbucks, we're Zuckerbucks. We are going to exploit whatever the rules are. I favor changing the rules to be like Florida and some of the other states that have done a good job. But until then, we have to do that.
Until then, we have to do that. Play by the rules, but know the rules in each state. I thought that was key. I thought that was a big takeaway from what DeSantis said. In 2024, conservatives, Republicans, we can't fight with one arm behind our back. We need to be just as aggressive as Dems on the ground. If they're ballot harvesting, we ballot harvest. If they're doing Zuckerbucks, we do Zuckerbucks. We need to be just as active as they are. It's 10:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, still got that rolling roadblock right there at the Cheatham-Davidson County line affecting 40 eastbound. And then another one in Sumner County. You got the left lane closed, Vietnam Veterans Boulevard eastbound right before New Shackle Island Road. House Republicans take another step toward possibly impeaching President Biden. Another Democrat member is punished, and a woman has been given permission for an abortion despite a state's ban. These stories and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Listen to us wherever you go with the TuneIn app, the iHeartRadio app, and join us tonight, our official Super Talk Live Christmas party. 4 to 8, Scoreboard, Cedar Creek Marina. Woo! We're going to be having a blast.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas attire. Wear your Christmas best.
Bring that Christmas spirit, too.
Yeah, bring the Christmas spirit.
Yes.
It's time for the Christmas spirit.
Yes.
We're having a lot of fun. John texted in. He said, Chris, outside of moments of entertainment, a worthless debate amongst also-ran presidential Republican candidates. Not much accomplished. John in Lawrenceburg. I agree, John. But I will say, this moment from Vivek Ramaswamy was awesome.
Here's my issue with all three of my other colleagues on this debate stage, is all three of them have been licking Donald Trump's boots for years for money and endorsements. Ron DeSantis, you've been a great governor, but you would have never been one without actually begging Donald Trump for that endorsement.
And you attacked him in your book a year ago.
Same thing with Chris Christie as a lobbyist, begging them for COVID money for his special interests in New Jersey, prepping him for the debates last time around. These people are now Monday morning quarterbacking some decision he made. I think the real enemy is not Donald Trump. It's not even Joe Biden. It is the deep state that at least Donald Trump attempted to take on. And if you want somebody who's going to speak truth to power, then vote for somebody who's going to speak the truth to you.
I think that is one of the best lines of the night. If you want someone that's going to speak truth to power, at least look for somebody that's going to speak truth to you. He nailed it. He nailed it. He also nailed the bootlicker comments. And at the same time, Trump is towering over these people in the polls. Trump towers over Haley. He towers over DeSantis in heads-to-head. He's leading the GOP field with 2/3 support. That was in a poll released on Tuesday. Surveys showing ahead of the fourth presidential debate that Trump is up big. In the national poll, he's up over Biden by 6, 53-47. Among independents, he's up by 10, 55-45. The GOP, he's up by 50 over DeSantis. He's up by 58 over Haley. He's going to be the nominee. These debates are fun. They're enjoyable. But at this point, they're just entertainment. And when you look at the years ahead, what happens after Donald Trump, a guy like Vivek Ramaswamy scares them. And I think that's one of the things that really bothers them about Trump. He sparked an idea. Rush Limbaugh said it best. They can try and get rid of Trump. They'll never get rid of the ideas because the people came before Trump. But what he did that's scaring them is he's creating a new lane for guys like Vivek Ramaswamy. There's going to be far more extreme candidates after Trump. And you can hear the fear in their voice when they're melting down on CNN over this debate. Van Jones, the same guy who, when Trump won, said, it's a white lash. What we saw last night was a white lash. He said he was literally shaking listening to Vivek.
And the smug, condescending way that he just spews this poison out is very, very dangerous because he won't stop Trump. But he's going to outlive Trump by about 50 years. Amen. And you're watching the rise of an American demagogue that is a very, very despicable person. Yeah. And I was shaking listening to him talk because a lot of people don't know that is one step away from Nazi propaganda coming out of his mouth.
I was literally shaking. He's literally one step away from a Nazi. 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. There is a lot happening in our nation's capital. House Republicans have unveiled the resolution to formally authorize an impeachment inquiry of President Biden. A vote is likely on Wednesday. Meanwhile,
on this vote, the yeas are 214, the nays are 191.
And the House votes to censure New York Democratic Congressman Jamal Bowman for pulling a fire alarm in a House office building, disrupting a key vote on government spending to avoid a shutdown in September. Right now in Texas, a district judge granting a pregnant woman permission to get an abortion, directly challenging the state's ban that took effect after Roe v. Wade was overturned last year. 31-year-old Kate Cox is 20 weeks pregnant, and doctors say her fetus has a fatal diagnosis. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. I recently did a workshop talking about some of the missteps of the investing industry, some of the biggest mutual fund companies out there. You probably recognize these names: Fidelity, Vanguard, Raymond James, Edward Jones, actually using data and information from their own websites as I walk through this. Now, one of the things I was talking about is diversification and how investors could be in for a rude awakening at the amount of risk that they actually have in their portfolios, and they don't even realize it. Now, the example I like to use to help people understand why why do these huge companies do this? I mean, these are big companies. And you go, well, why? Well, think about the diet industry. In the diet industry, you had things like this: fat-free this, fat-free that, fat-free that. And what happened is they did a study. They were looking at diabetes in children. And what they found was that when they went fat-free, they actually ended up with more diabetes rather than less, because what they substituted for fat was sugar. Now, what happens in the mutual fund industry, they tend to keep costs low by investing in very narrow areas of the market that are inexpensive to manage. So what happens is the investor ends up with more risk than they think that they've got. Now, why do they do that? Because you are actually attracted by low costs. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't use these big mutual fund companies. It just means that you have to be eyes wide open. As an investment firm, we help people sidestep these things because sometimes you have no choice. You have a 401k, you're dealing with these fund companies, and you can't go anywhere else. So what we do is we help you go around these landmines. To set up an initial 15-minute phone call, go to our website, paulwinkler.com, or you can just scan the QR code right here. We look forward to talking with you.
But let me tell you this as the nominee. I think it's important. Not every state's where we need it to be. There is ballot harvesting in places like Nevada, all these places. I am not going to fight with one hand tied behind my back. I'm going to have organizations in all the swing states. If they're harvesting, we're harvesting. If they're Zuckerbucks, we're Zuckerbucks. We are going to exploit whatever the rules are.
I think that was one of the moments of the night for Ron DeSantis last night. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 1036, it's Chris Hand. I think he's absolutely right. We should be doing everything we can to win elections and playing by the rules that are set before us. Ballot harvesting is super successful for Democrats. It's a lot harder to ballot harvest in a rural area. You know, if you're in New York City and you're ballot harvesting, you hit 1,000 people in a 1-block radius, 2-block radius. You try and do that in Shelbyville, it's a little bit tougher. So I think you need to play with the rules that are set in front of you. But I do want to say, when it comes to election integrity, there are some bright spots out there. There are. There's a story out of Louisiana right now. Smaller election, but a Louisiana judge ordered a new election for county sheriff. This was after Democrats won a close race. They're citing voting irregularities. It was proven beyond any doubt that there were at least 11 illegal votes cast and counted. Now, I know the numbers seem small, but I think this is important, and you've seen it a couple times now, where people are paying more attention to these elections. Retired Louisiana Supreme Court Justice Joseph Blake made a decision on Tuesday that the election results of Cato Parish Sheriff race are now null and void. I probably butchered the Cato Parish, Cato. The decision came following a November 18th runoff election where a Democrat candidate, Henry Whitehorn, emerged victorious against a Republican opponent, John Nicholson. He won by just one vote, which is crazy. One vote. To all those people that say, my vote doesn't matter, this guy allegedly won by one vote. Now, the serving judge of the First Judicial District Court explained in his ruling that because the runoff election ended in a one-vote difference and it was proven beyond any doubt that there were at least 11 illegal votes cast and counted, that it's illegally impossible to know what the true vote should have been. A recount took place, with the final margin being the same yet again after both candidates gained 3 votes. Now, we're seeing the Republican, Nicholson, filing a lawsuit to contest the results and call for a special election, and they're going that way. They're going to do a special election. I just want to say that these kind of things should give you hope. Maybe the Democrat ends up winning, but at least people are taking more of a look at this kind of stuff than they have in the past. You know, when Trump said the election was stolen from him, they said, hey, don't talk about that. You can't say that. It threatens our democracy. But we're seeing it time and time again that these cases are coming up. These cases are real. And in some cases, it looks like they're going our way. It looks like this sheriff in Louisiana could be Republican when it's all said and done. I think it's a big deal. Although, you still see Democrats crying about democracy. In fact, Nancy Pelosi was on MSNBC, MSDNC, as people call it, yesterday. It's on this show called Last Word. I know you don't watch it. I don't watch it either. Anyway, she's on the show, and she said, if former President Trump wins the election in 2024, our democracy, and then she goes a step further, our flag, our Constitution, the future of our children is at stake. Yep. I would argue that all those things are at stake if a Democrat wins. Our democracy, our flag, it would probably be replaced with a pride flag like they do in so many other situations. Our Constitution, the future of our children. Yeah, I agree it's all at stake, but I think that it would be secured if Donald Trump wins. And it looks like he's doing pretty good right now. He's leading over Ron. He's leading over Nikki Haley. He's leading over Joe Biden. And at the same time, people have been worried about RFK Jr., but Trump leads from a new poll on Tuesday. He leads in 6 swing states. A year out from the election, sure. but he's leading. The poll, though, also included RFK Jr. in the options for other party candidates and found that between 9 and 14% of voters were still unsure, depending on the state. But the poll found that the inclusion of Kennedy as an independent candidate was doing more damage to Joe Biden than Trump, which is what I've kind of felt the entire time. If RFK goes the distance and he's a third-party candidate, he's going to hurt Joe Biden more than he hurts Trump. It's just because people aren't paying attention right now. They know RFK's stance on vaccines, but they don't know a lot of his other stances. But Kennedy will hurt Joe Biden more than he hurts Trump. That poll was conducted between November 27th and 29, 6,184 swing state voters. Margin of error was like 2%. Voters overwhelmingly say the economy is the most important issue, and of course it is. Of course it is. People can see with their eyes what a Joe Biden regime has done to this country. They can see it. Joe Biden doesn't care about you. In fact, old middle-class Joe has turned to Hollywood elite for donations. He's going to do a fundraiser with Steven Spielberg, Rob Reiner, and James Taylor to ask for cash for 2024. Well, of course he has to ask the Hollywood elites. The regular small dollar donation guy, they can't afford to donate to Joe Biden's campaign. And why would they want to? People have lost more money on their paycheck because of Joe Biden than we really want to even discuss. It's shocking how much we've lost under Joe Biden. It really is. But he's got to go to the Hollywood elite. He's not going to get any money from his hometown. In fact, Fox News went to his hometown, old Scranton, Pennsylvania, and they asked the Scranton voters, what they think of Joe Biden.
My opinion is he praises here, but I don't think he actually grew up here technically, so he uses that as that he cares about us.
Tougher for people, So how could he be seeing it through our eyes?
I'm a registered Democrat, but I'm not happy. I think he's the worst president we ever had, to be honest with you. But no, I'm not. This economy sucks. I mean, everything's going up except paychecks. I just think the economy sucks. Ever since Biden got in.
Yeah, that's Scranton. That's old Scranton Joe's hometown. Can't go there for a fundraiser. This is a guy said I'm a registered Democrat and this economy sucks. Yeah. So when he can't turn to Scranton, President Joe Biden will be turning to the Hollywood stars. Yep. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't. He's turning to Hollywood. Weird. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is picking up more endorsements. Alabama Senator Katie Britt endorsed Donald Trump. Biden is now kind of scrambling. He knows he's underwater. And one of the signs that shows it now is, he's going to ban menthol cigarettes, but he's hemorrhaging support in the black community, and now he's delaying the menthol cigarette ban because black leaders have told him it's racist. Do you think he would have been doing that if he wasn't hemorrhaging support from black voters? I don't think so. The Democrat Party only cares about what black voters think, once every 4 years. The Biden administration has announced they are delaying the ban on menthol cigarettes after strategists warned President Biden that it could negatively impact his support among black voters. Of course, that's all he cares about, the votes. Leaders in the black community claim that the ban would foster an underground market and cause police to target black smokers in a disproportionate manner. That's from the Washington Post. Yeah, you can't ban menthols if you're losing black support everywhere. Can't do that. I think it's funny the Washington Post reported it. I also want to point out, if you can, go to the Washington Post today and click around. Click around on a bunch of articles. You don't have to read them, but just go there If you can spend 20 minutes of your day clicking on a bunch of Washington Post articles, I think that would be beneficial. And I'll tell you why. Washington Post writers are on strike today. Did you know that they're on strike?
Did.
Yeah. So I think it'd be funny if their clicks went way up today. So maybe we can all do our part and click around on the Washington Post. This is the Washington Post writers just saying, we just want a living wage.
I have risked my life on the front lines of war. I've covered an insurrection.
Where we got 4 seconds in and I had to stop the tape. I covered an insurrection.
I've covered an insurrection.
Yeah. Fedsurrection.
A global pandemic.
Oh, the pandemic. Not the pandemic.
A global pandemic.
Historic racial justice protests.
Climate change. And gun violence in America.
Historic racial justice protests. Historic. It was a summer of love. Climate change. They're on the front lines of climate change.
A global pandemic.
Historic racial justice protests.
Climate change. And gun violence in America.
I work hard to make sure you know exactly what's going on in our DC community.
To hold powerful institutions to account.
Yes, when you think of the Washington Post, remember they hold powerful institutions to account.
And to bring you the latest visuals from around the globe.
And I'm worth a fair and transparent pay process.
I'm worth a living wage.
I'm worth raises that keep up with inflation.
I'm worth equal pay to my colleagues, regardless of my race or gender.
I'm worth job protections that value my years of service.
We've been in contract negotiations for 18 months.
And our bosses have refused to bargain in good faith.
I mean, you should get a new negotiator. 18 months, you haven't gotten a pay raise? So they're on strike today. I don't know, I can play you the rest of this video, but they're just whining the whole time. So they're on strike today. They walked off the job, and I think it would be awesome if we could all just click around on the website for 20 minutes or so. Get them clicks up. You know what I mean? That way their bosses go, traffic increased. So we don't really need to give you a raise.
Seems like the majority of the clicks came from Middle Tennessee, but
so
traffic
weird.
did increase.
We had 1,000% increase from Middle Tennessee. I think we can all do our part, right? If we all pull the same direction, I feel like we can really do something special here, and make sure that those Washington Post writers don't get a raise. I don't know why I think it's so funny, but I think we should. I'm going to. So if you have time today, WashingtonPost.com. Do it on a couple tablets, a couple different IP addresses. Do it at work. Do it at home. Go to a public library. Whatever you got to do.
IP addresses.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You gotta switch that thing.
Scatter
up.
it around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
scatter it around.
Don't be too obvious.
Yeah, that way it looks like, yeah, put your VPN on. Make it look like different people are doing it. You know? I think that would be clutch. I think 8910 said I just did it. Thank you, 8910. 1509 said, sorry, Chris, I went to the Washington Post this morning like you said, but I found myself vomiting on every topic they had. I know. I didn't say you had to read it, for the record. I just wanted you to click around. Just keep clicking. Close your eyes and click, baby. Click on the advertisers, too. So that way their advertisers are like, well, that day was great for us. I don't know what happened. So we could all do our part, right? Thank you, 8910 and 1509. 0180 said, getting on right now. I love you guys. All right. It's 10:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Don't forget tonight, the most official of official Christmas parties we've ever had on Super Talk. It's going to be happening at Scoreboard at Cedar Creek Marina. We want you to come celebrate Christmas with us. I'll be there, Dan, Matt Murphy, Brian Wilson. We're broadcasting live, and our gift to you is it's free. So come join us. Scoreboard, Cedar Creek Marina. It all kicks off at 4 o'clock, and we'll be hanging out there all night. We'll be hanging out until they kick us out. That's how Christmas parties get down. So we hope to see you there. 10:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I wanted to touch on the history of Tethered and kind of how it came about.
There was a handful of us that were already using similar equipment. At the time, however, you couldn't just go to the store and buy saddle equipment. It just didn't exist. Selfishly, we just were making gear that nobody else would make for us and that we wanted ourselves. And our goal was just to make enough to break even. Fortunately for everybody involved, it took off. It's got an appeal. People really liked it.
When you think of a saddle, that's what I think of. That's the first name that I think of when I hear about a saddle.
For me, the reason I got into it was I'm hunting public land, and most of the time I'm going pretty deep. Being lightweight and mobile was huge. I walk in with a pack and my bow. That's it. The more I did it, I was like, man, there's so many features here that are helping me improve as a hunter, where I can take different shot angles and stuff. And I'm going to tell you, I feel safe with this rope all the time.
Yeah.
From the ground up, I'm hooked in. If I fall off this thing, I'm just going to swing a little bit. And I think the learning curve is small. It's just about getting comfortable with your equipment. It's the biggest thing. And for me, it's repetition and then fine-tuning that to meet my needs. And that's the cool thing. What I like and what might meet my needs might be a little different from you. And even though we're doing the same thing, you can tweak it to meet your needs. And I really like that aspect about it.
But we've done a really good job of just innovating and creating products that don't exist. You're seeing the growth of the sport. You're seeing the innovation. And you're seeing all of these cool things that we make, and it's because we actually use it.
Looking at a 15-minute delay eastbound to 40, starting right there at the Cheatham-Davidson County line. The right lane is blocked for some road work. Then you've got road work in Sumner County. The left lane blocked, Vietnam Veterans Boulevard eastbound before New Shackle Island Road. That's about a 4-minute delay. Boy, Republicans are busy in the House of Representatives today. We'll tell you what they're doing coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I hear Ken Weaver saying the traffic stuff like it's a bad thing, but it just means you get to spend more time with us.
That's right.
Right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 10:58. I'm Chris Ham, Mac Maury producing. Ken Weaver in the newsroom, and you on the Super Text line and the phone lines at 615-737-9986. Republicans have blocked a Ukraine aid bill demanding stronger border action. And I say good. But Biden's budget director, Shalonda Young, she can't believe that they would do that. In fact, she says she's stunned.
We're always willing to have a conversation.
Really? Really? Weird.
But I believe Congress has been talking about this long enough, and I'm happy that the question was called. Unfortunately, people who know the stakes, who are supporters of Ukraine, who are supporters of Israel, decided to put politics ahead of our national security interests. And frankly, I remain stunned by that.
Oh, they put politics ahead of our national security interests. Weird. So the southern border, not a national security risk at all, in case you're keeping score at home. Thank you, Shalonda Young, the Biden budget director. I didn't know. I thought I was under the impression that having people that are on the terror watch list, known for coming from known terror countries sneaking through the southern border would be a national security issue. Chinese nationals sneaking over the border would be a national security issue, but I guess I was wrong. You learn something every day. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver standing by with the latest on Super Talk.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. A lot going on in our nation's capital right now. House Republicans have unveiled the text of an impeachment resolution to dig into whether Joe Biden profited from his sons' and brothers' businesses.
The measure formalizes the impeachment inquiry that's been underway since September, when former Speaker Kevin McCarthy initiated it on his own. The move is meant to bolster legal efforts to obtain documents and testimony that Republicans allege the Biden administration is blocking. That's said to include emails to and from Joe Biden during his time as vice president. The White House insists there's been no stonewalling and that there's no basis for impeachment.
That's Stephen Portnoy, who says a vote is likely Wednesday. Meanwhile,
on this vote, the yeas are 214, the nays are 191.
Now, the House voting to censure New York Democratic Congressman Jamal Bowman for pulling a fire alarm in a House office building, disrupting a key vote on government spending to avoid a shutdown. That happened in September. Right now in Texas, a district judge has granted a pregnant woman permission to get an abortion, directly challenging the state's ban that took effect after Roe v. Wade was overturned last year. 31-year-old Kate Cox is 20 weeks pregnant, and doctors say her fetus has a fatal diagnosis. And health officials have launched an inspection of a South American plant that makes cinnamon applesauce in pouches marketed toward children after dozens of reports of acute lead poisoning. Here's Dave Packer.
The FDA is looking at cinnamon as a likely source of lead contamination in the applesauce pouches and is collecting samples at the Ostro Foods plant in Ecuador. 64 children across 27 states have been sickened, according to the FDA. The recalled applesauce pouches were sold under the brand names Schnucks, Weiss, and Wanabana, which voluntarily recalled the packages. Lead exposure can cause serious health problems in children, including damage to the brain and nervous system, slowed growth, and behavior problems.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
11:04 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Chris Hand. I want to thank all of our fantastic super texters who have been clicking around on Washington Post and sending me screenshots. You guys are the best. If you missed that break, Washington Post writers are on strike today. They're demanding a fair living wage. Joe texted in 6775. He said, clicked around on WAPO a bit. They actually have an article saying Trump plans to declare martial law on day one and deploy the military against the protesters. You don't have to sell me on him. I already like the guy. Says, no wonder libs are so unhinged if this is what they're believing. This is the truth. I mean, the libs are unhinged because of the media they consume. And the media is absolutely 100% against Donald Trump. 100%. So thank you guys for clicking around on Washington Post. Appreciate that. I want to talk about the border. It's a mess. It's a mess. I saw a story on Breitbart.com that honestly infuriated me. An illegal alien gets 2 life sentences for stabbing a beloved grandmother to death in her home. An illegal alien who murdered a grandmother, and then this illegal alien did his laundry, took a shower, and ate a hamburger in her home. Got 2 life sentences. This happened in May of 2019 in the Houston, Texas area. 24-year-old illegal alien Marco Cobos of Mexico stabbed a 75-year-old woman 13 times in her home for several hours as she begged for her life. He pled guilty. And now taxpayers are going to be footing the bill for him for the rest of his life. Doesn't Texas have the death penalty? I'm pretty sure Texas has the death penalty. How come an illegal alien gets to stab a grandmother and he gets 2 life sentences? He pled guilty. It's not even like he's looking for an appeal. That should be death penalty immediately.
Yeah, Texas does have the death penalty. They lead the nation in the number of executions since the death penalty was reinstated in 76.
Like, that's rookie numbers. We need to get those numbers up. I don't even know what the numbers are. But if you have an illegal alien that can stab a grandmother who's 75 and deal with, it's like she's struggling for her life for hours. He takes a shower, does his laundry, and eats a hamburger. If that is not death penalty status, I don't know what is.
It's vile.
If that doesn't reach the levels of, like, immediate death penalty, what are we doing? I know we're not deterring any of these illegal aliens from coming across the border. I know there's no deterrence there. But in a crime like this, we're already footing the bill for all the illegal aliens coming across the border. And it's to the tune of $450 billion a year, right? Something like that. I reported on that a couple days ago. I forget the exact number. But an illegal alien murders a 75-year-old grandmother, does his laundry, takes a shower, eats a hamburger, and he gets 2 life sentences. That doesn't sit well with me. That doesn't sit well with me at all.
Couple texts coming in saying that they assume that he pled guilty to avoid the death penalty and to get life.
That shouldn't be a deal. That should be no deal.
Yep.
No deal. And the prosecutor's weak. Around the time of the murder, Cobos had driven to the Houston area after stealing a truck in Arizona. He began sleeping in the truck in this grandmother's neighborhood. On May 19th, 2019, Cobos knocked on her front door and asked her if he could have water and a place to charge his cell phone. She was uncomfortable letting a stranger in her home and directed him to a neighbor's residence. After closing the door, he returned soon after, forced his way into the home, and he began stabbing her while she begged for her life. He stabbed her over multiple hours until she died from the injuries. That's a no-deal situation. No deal. So now we're going to be, the taxpayers are going to be footing the bill for this illegal alien for the rest of his life. This sick individual washed his clothes in the laundry room and showered in her bathroom. He left the residence to buy a hamburger and returned to eat it. Eventually leaving, staying the night in a nearby hotel. When this grandmother's son became worried about his mother when he had not heard from her and visited her home, he found her dead inside with stab wounds. This is a direct product of the open border that we have. This is what an open border looks like. A grandmother in Houston being stabbed. And now he's on the taxpayer dime for the rest of his life. Garbage. Hot garbage. I wish that, we could have some passion for how dangerous this is on the southern border, the same way we have passion to go and defend Israel, the same way we have passion to go and fund Ukraine, the same way we have all this money to do all these other things, but we don't have passion to close the border. We don't have any passion in this country to take care of the problems that we have. And people will say, oh, it's compassionate. We have to be compassionate to let these illegal aliens in. Was it compassionate for the grandmother who was stabbed to death? Where was the compassion for her? And if you want to focus on the illegal aliens, the women and children that are coming around, is it passionate when these towns are being so overrun by illegal aliens that illegal aliens are dying outside in the streets because of the cold weather? That's what happened in Chicago. Nobody's reporting on it. But there was a Chicago scanner that picked up body removal ordered for a 65-year-old Hispanic male found frozen in the backseat of a Honda Element. We're going to see this more and more over the winter. Is that compassion? Is it compassion when migrants are, and I say migrants because that's the language they use, NPR, illegal aliens are sleeping outside in an overrun Colorado town as temps drop, fearing people will die? Is that compassion? Unbelievable. Tuesday's broadcast of NPR's Morning Edition in Aspen, they were reporting on a surge of migrants, illegal aliens, overwhelming local resources, and illegal aliens being forced to sleep outside as temperature drops. They reported that there was about a group of 125 migrants, mostly from Venezuela, who were living under a bridge at the entrance to the small town, and they're worried that they're going to die as the temperatures drop. I don't want to be cold, but play stupid games, win stupid prizes. These people need to go back. We clearly don't have the room or the resources for them, and people are going to end up dying. People are dying. There was a death in Chicago. American citizens are dying. Look at the grandmother. It's always about compassion, right? You have to be compassionate. Unbelievable. And then you see in Texas, 1,000 migrants sheltered outdoors as Border Patrol is overwhelmed in this Texas border sector. 1,000 migrants outside. So it's illegal aliens. They're saying that the processing facilities are more than 3 times over the capacity. And the illegal aliens are still rushing into the small town of Eagle Pass, and it's resulting in these illegal aliens having to live outside in an open field. Does that what compassion looks like? I think compassion looks like a closed border and removing the open invitation from the Biden administration. That's compassion. That's the biggest issue we're dealing with. And even when these blue cities try to fix it, they try to say, "Oh, we're going to do something." It's a terrible idea. In Chicago, the EPA, the Illinois EPA, had to shut down construction of Chicago mayor's tent city for illegal aliens because there are toxic chemicals in the soil on the site. So even it's like, the Democrats will try and act like they're caring and they got to do everything. But Mayor Brandon Johnson, they don't care. They were going to make a tent city for illegal aliens on a site with toxic chemicals in the soil. That's their version of caring. Their faux concern. It's crazy. Johnson was trying to move really quick to secure funding and begin construction for this site, and they're saying that that's what undid his project. At the end of November, City Hall released an environmental study on the nearly 7-acre vacant lot that Johnson had picked for an illegal alien housing project that showed levels of toxic chemicals that exceeded Illinois' EPA requirements. Mayor Johnson went full speed ahead anyway with construction. This is what Democrats do. He's just started wasting money anyway, under the assumption that removing 6 inches of topsoil and adding a gravel bed was enough to get rid of the threat of toxins in the soil. However, Johnson neglected to clear any of this with his state's EPA, and now the state agency has finally noticed the mayor's refusal to follow procedure and said, you can't do this. There's insufficient soil sampling and remediation. So they had to stop their plans after they wasted a bunch of money. We're $33 trillion in debt, and they're building tent cities for illegal aliens. And in Chicago, they're half building it and then deciding that they can't build it anymore because, there's toxic chemicals in the soil. How do people think that an open border is compassionate? It's driving me absolutely insane. Then we have stories from earlier in the week where Dick Durbin, wants illegal aliens to join the military. And we have stories where illegal aliens are getting VA healthcare benefits. Oh, it's so compassionate. Compassionate to who? It's an absolute train wreck at the border. And the Biden administration is mad that we want to even talk about tying funding for Ukraine to securing the southern border. Biden's budget director, Shalonda Young, said she was stunned that Republicans want to secure the southern border.
We're always willing to have a conversation, but I believe Congress has been talking about this long enough, and I'm happy that the question was called. Unfortunately, people who know the stakes, who are supporters of Ukraine, who are supporters of Israel, decided to put politics ahead of our national security interests. And frankly, I remain stunned by that.
I think our main national security interest is the southern border. In fact, in 2019, it was Obama's DHS Secretary, Jay Johnson, who said 1,000 illegal border crossings per day overwhelm the system. But then he said, I can't begin to imagine what 4,000 a day looks like. Hey, guys, spoiler alert, this week, we're at 12,000 illegal border crossings in a single day. This is Obama's DHS secretary in 2019.
My staff will tell you if it was under 1,000 apprehensions the day before, that was a relatively good number. And if it was above 1,000, it was a relatively bad number, and I was going to be in a bad mood the whole day. On Tuesday, there were 4,000 apprehensions. I know that 1,000 overwhelms the system. I cannot begin to imagine what 4,000 a day looks like.
That was in 2019. We're at 12,000 illegal border crossings in a single day. 12,000 in a day. Are you kidding? And people are worried. People are worried about Israel and Ukraine first. Like we got to worry about home first. We have to put our oxygen mask on first in this country before we help anybody else. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And even Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday, she calls the Republicans' border security proposals extreme, but she doesn't have a good answer for why.
On this topic, the president said earlier today that Republicans are holding Ukraine's funding hostage for an extreme partisan border policy. Can you tell us specifically what it is about the Senate Republican proposal that is extreme?
I mean, look, you heard from them directly. There are certain policies that they want to get rid of, whether it's asylum components of it. They have been very, very clear. And that's extreme. That is changing and making the system worse. But I'm not going to negotiate. I'm not going to go point by point and saying like what we're going to agree on, what we're not going to agree on. But it has been extreme. You just hear it from them. You hear it from the House and from some Republicans in the Senate. They have been very clear about this. But we need to actually fix the system. We actually need to make the system, and you've heard us say this, and move forward with a system that is humane and orderly. That's why the president has put forward some of the ways that he wants to move forward with it. That's why he's asked for more additional funding, because we need additional funding to deal with what's happening at the border. But I'm not going to negotiate from here. They have been very clear on the provisions and the policy changes that they want to make. I'm just not going to get into details from here.
It's amazing how she can say so much and nothing at the exact same time. It's extreme. It's extreme. Guys, we take it very serious trying to deal with the border issue.
We have been taking this very seriously and trying to deal with this border security issue. This is an issue that has been happening before this president came into office. Democrat and Republican presidents have had to deal with this. The system is indeed broken, but they have to take this seriously.
Yeah, we do have to take it seriously. It has been an issue before, but never at the numbers that we're seeing now. Crazy. 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for Paul Winkler and Paul Winkler, Inc. If you don't know Paul, you need to get to know Paul. You can listen to his shows on WTN over the weekend. That's how I was first introduced to Paul when I moved to Nashville some years ago. And when I got to meet Paul, it was pretty cool. I got to realize he's the same guy that he is on the radio. Smart, honest, legit. I was all in. And Paul and his team hold themselves to a higher level of fiduciary standard than is required. And because of that, government regulators require that I tell you I'm paid every time this commercial airs. And that's fair. It's the truth. But that's not why I'm a client. I'm a client because when I had a chance to sit down with Paul and have my financial questions answered honestly, that I was just super impressed. Paul's a smart guy. He knows the financial world better than I do, and he can break it down for a guy like me to understand. And with Paul and his team, nothing is done on commission, but they are big on education, and he's made my financial goals way more realistic by explaining what to do and why. And the investment education that he brings to the table is evidence-based and backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. So if you don't have a financial planner in your life, you should check these guys out. Every office is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years of experience, and you can feel the difference between Paul's team and the rest. That experience equals confidence. So do what I did. Talk to one of his team members today. Set up a complimentary phone call right now on his website, paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com, or call 615-851-1950.
Lots of traffic problems to tell you about. 40 eastbound right before Bellevue Highway. You got road work with the right lane blocked. That slowdown starts at the Cheatham-Davidson County line. Then in Sumner County, road work with the left lane blocked, Vietnam Veterans Boulevard eastbound. That's going to be right before New Shackle Island Road. And a former Hunter Biden business associate is contradicting what President Biden said yesterday about interactions with Hunter Biden's Chinese business deals. We'll tell you about it at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I have a story here, and I said to Mac off the air, I said, you want to see the phones go crazy? Is it time to ban bully breeds when it comes to dogs? A 6-year-old boy was mauled to death by 2 Mastiff mixes in Portland. Usually the conversation goes to pit bulls, but Mastiffs, I mean, should they be banned too? 6-year-old boy was mauled to death by 2 Mastiff mixes in Portland, Oregon on Tuesday. The incident occurred after the young boy's grandmother dropped him off at home in the Park Rose Heights neighborhood around 7:30 a.m. to be taken to school, the Daily Mail reports. The owner of both dogs told authorities that upon arrival, she went into the garage to care for her dogs. The young boy opened the door behind her, and one of the dogs charged at him. So the owner was there, and the dog still charged at him. Authorities say Miller was covered in blood and reportedly did everything she could to stop the attack, which included grabbing a gun, although she did not fire it. The 6-year-old was pronounced dead at the scene. You see a lot of stories like this. I'll be honest with you. I don't really have an opinion either way. But I know a lot of people get really passionate about this. Do you think bully breeds should be banned? 615-737-9986. I mean, a lot of times they say, the dog is only as good as the owner. Well, this owner was there in the room. Even grabbed a gun. She didn't fire it. She wasn't willing to kill her dogs as they were killing a little boy. But the owner says that these Mastiff mixes, she said, the dogs were just mutts. Should these dogs be banned? The 2 dogs were taken into custody. Police said that they have both been euthanized and that animal services are holding a 3rd dog that was at home at the time of the attack. Officer Benner reported to the scene, said that the investigation is being led by the Portland Police with assistance from the homicide unit. Should this woman face charges? Should the dog owner face charges in this scenario? Let's go to Travis in Winchester. What do you think, Travis?
Hey, what's going on? Talking about as far as the Mastiff?
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of lost you there on the radio. It's obviously the owner's fault. Why were the dogs loose and whatnot? But I was actually calling to comment on the pit bull.
Yeah, should pit bulls be banned?
No, man. I've had 3. I got 2 right now. I had one that was 16 years old that passed away. Sweetest dogs. I got an American pit right now and a Staffy pit. They're the best dogs. They nicknamed the Staffy pits the nanny dogs back in World War II because they'd take care of kids, man. Them dogs love kids. They will give their life for them kids.
I've met some great pit bulls. At the same time, if I saw one walking alone on the street, I might put my hand on my firearm just in case it gets a little bit rowdy.
Yeah, I mean, I think, in my opinion, it's all about the owners. I mean, my dogs are baby. They sleep in my bed, and they protected my kids. We had a rabid coyote jump the fence. My kids were in the backyard. I got about 50 acres. They was out there. I got about 25 fenced in. You could see them coming across the field from a good distance. My dogs were going crazy. The back door, we done let them out, man. They met the coyote about halfway to my care of them. So, I mean, they're great dogs, man. And it's a shame they get a bad name, but like I said, it's all about the ownership.
Hey, I appreciate the call. Thanks, Travis. It does seem like it's always a bully breed that mauls a kid. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion either way. I want to know what you think. 615-737-9986. Anthony and Tim, we'll get to your calls next. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Right now, breaking news out of our nation's capital. Fox News says Hunter Biden's former business associate, Eric Schwerin, is contradicting President Biden's denial yesterday that he interacted with his son's foreign business associates. Schwerin, a key player in facilitating Hunter Biden's Chinese business deals and closely involved with handling the elder Biden's finances, tells Fox News Digital that denial is complete malarkey and there is, quote, plenty of evidence to refute it. Meanwhile, House Republicans just unveiled the text of the Biden impeachment inquiry resolution with a vote likely on Wednesday to formalize the influence peddling and abuse of power investigation that's been underway since September. The move is meant to bolster legal efforts to obtain documents and testimony which Republicans allege the Biden administration is blocking. And turning to sports, LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels has just been voted the Associated Press Player of the Year. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. I recently did a workshop talking about some of the missteps of the investing industry, some of the biggest mutual fund companies out there. You probably recognize these names: Fidelity, Vanguard, Raymond James, Edward Jones. Actually using data and information from their own websites as I walk through this. Now, one of the things I was talking about is diversification and how investors could be in for a rude awakening at the amount of risk that they actually have in their portfolios, and they don't even realize it. Now, the example I like to use to help people understand why do these huge companies do this? I mean, these are big companies. And you go, well, why? Well, think about the diet industry. In the diet industry, you had things like this: fat-free this, fat-free that, fat-free that. And what happened is they did a study. They were looking at diabetes in children. And what they found was that when they went fat-free, they actually ended up with more diabetes rather than less, because what they substituted for fat was sugar. Now, what happens in the mutual fund industry, they tend to keep costs low by investing in very narrow areas of the market that are inexpensive to manage. So what happens is the investor ends up with more risk than they think that they've got. Now, why do they do that? Because you are actually attracted by low costs. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't use these big mutual fund companies. It just means that you have to be eyes wide open. As an investment firm, we help people sidestep these things because sometimes you have no choice. You have a 401k, you're dealing with these fund companies, and you can't go anywhere else. So what we do is we help you go around these landmines. To set up an initial 15-minute phone call, go to our website, paulwinkler.com, or you can just scan the QR code right here. We look forward to talking with you.
11:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Chris Hand. Don't forget you can listen to us wherever you go. Tune in, iHeartRadio, the 99.7 WTN app. And don't forget, we have a Christmas party tonight. Scoreboard, Cedar Creek Marina, Super Talk Live. I'll be there. Dan, Matt Murphy, Brian Wilson. We're broadcasting live, and it is free, so come join us. I had this story here, and I don't have an opinion on it, really. I could go either way. I'm not going to own a pit bull. I've met good pit bulls. I've met bad pit bulls. This story is about a Mastiff mix, which is also one of the bully breeds. The term bully breed, it classifies, a group of dogs, right? American Pit Bull Terrier, Staffordshire Terrier, Mastiffs, Rottweilers, Old English Bulldogs, Boston Terriers. A lot of people look at the bully breed and say, we don't need them. Get rid of them. And the story is out of Portland, where 2 Mastiff mixes mauled a 6-year-old boy to death. The owner grabbed a gun while this was happening, didn't shoot the dogs. Little boy died. I think the owner should be charged. But it brings up the conversation, should these breeds just be banned? What do you think? 615-737-9986. Let's go to Tim. You're up first on Super Talk. What's up, Tim?
Hey, Chris. How are you doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
Love you guys so. Passionate about dogs, pit bulls and bully breeds and specifically. Just something to throw out there. The pit bull is also known as the nanny dog. So that was the dog that settlers were trained to stay with the children to protect the children. So it's all in how the dog is trained. Little Rascal's dog, Petey, pit bull.
Mm-hmm.
So these dogs have a history of being great dogs. We have a problem with owners that don't know how to train dogs. The way I describe a pit bull and bully breed dogs is they are better at everything. Pit bulls specifically, you teach them how to love, they'll be the biggest loving lap dogs you've ever seen. They're funny. They're the funniest dogs. They're your comic relief. But you teach them how to be mean, or you don't train them at all and just let them run wild, they're going to be the meanest. They're going to be the roughest. So they are what you make of them. And unfortunately, I think we have a problem with owners that don't know the difference in these type of dogs.
You think that owner should be charged with murder?
Neglect for sure. I don't know the circumstances, so I couldn't say murder. But if they didn't do anything about it, they chose the dogs over the children, yes, definitely some kind of steep punishment for the owners. But neglect for sure. Having those dogs untrained or trained poorly, if they were trained for fighting or trained to be mean or guard dogs but didn't differentiate between children and attackers, then yes, they should be charged with something.
All right. Hey, I appreciate the call, Tim. Thanks so much. Let's go to Kelly in Nashville. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Kelly? Oh, hey, Kelly. Hey, what's up?
Hey, I was just going to say, me and my family, we owned an English Mastiff on my dad, and I was probably about maybe like 9, 10 years old, and there was a neighbor that was 3 to 4 houses down. They had a little girl that had Down syndrome, and she had gotten lost, and everybody in the neighborhood was looking for her, and our dog, the English Mastiff, had found the little girl, and she was back behind one of the houses. That there was like an old block wall that had kind of partially fallen down, and the dog was leading the little girl. She had her hand in her mouth, and she was leading her back up to the people.
Interesting. Cool. Thanks for the story. I appreciate it. Let's go to Marty in Lebanon. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Marty?
Yes, I've never owned a pit bull, but what I want to tell you is there's a fantastic book out there about pit bulls. It was written by James Gorant, Gorant. He was a writer for Sports Illustrated. He had interviewed Michael Vick, who was that horrible person with the dog fighting, and when he was a football player. So when he was arrested for the dog fighting thing, he wanted to do a study on pit bulls. It was the first time in history, the history of when they arrested these dog fighting things, is they go in and just euthanize every dog on the property. And there were 34 dogs on this property. The book is called The Lost Dogs. And there were 34 dogs on this property. They had to euthanize one little female because she had been so abused. These dogs were put into homes. There was if I remember correctly, $960,000 put into an account to see if these dogs, it was a big experiment to see if these dogs could be rehabilitated or if they were bloodthirsty, all that. They were very careful about the homes they put them in. It's a fascinating book. Human psychologists, dog psychologists, dog specialists, they put them in homes. 5 of the dogs became therapy dogs. The dogs, even when the dogs were put as puppies, were dog aggression training where they tie them on leads where they can't quite reach each other, and then these pit bulls have an 80% fail rate. According to this book, 80% will not become dog aggressive. I've never owned a pit bull. I have friends that have owned pit bulls, but we had renters that had pit bulls. We've never had an issue. I just feel it's very important that people understand the dog. And this book was fascinating to read. I've sent copies to different friends. So please, if your readers are interested in this, or they have pit bulls, or they know they have pit bulls, or friends, get the book, The Lost Dogs by James Gorant, Gorant. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Hey, thanks for the call, Marty. I appreciate you. On the super text line, people are disagreeing. Bobby texted in. He said BS on the pit bulls. Every year, stories are reported about pits that never hurt a fly, but that kill a child. Every year. I don't know. It's interesting. Other people say breeds of dogs should not be banned. Kevin says if pit bulls are so good, why are so many people trying to defend them? Let's go to Anthony in Nashville. You're next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Anthony?
Hey, what's up?
What's up, Anthony?
Can you
hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and I appreciate the other people's stories, and they were interesting stories because I have a completely different one. I was attacked as a child by a dog, by a pit bull, no less, and it wasn't a fun experience, as I'm pretty sure most people who were attacked by dogs as a child, minor or not, say it's not a good experience. So the stories about all that is kind of one of those things where it's we're allowing humanity to somehow become less valuable than dogs. As this case with this woman who just decided, I got a gun, but I'm not going to use it.
Yeah.
To save the child. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't understand how we're getting to this point. Because even with it, I would argue it's somewhat relative to abortion. We're okay with just devaluing the life of humans now, so long as it's humans and not animals. And I'm just like, I can't get behind that. And I just like, if in this case with the woman, she deserves to be charged for murder for sure. She had an opportunity to do something and she didn't do anything.
I agree with that.
Case of the story, yeah. If that's the case of the story, she needs to be charged for sure. But if there's more to it, then we'll find out about it later. But I do believe that these people who breed these dogs and make new mixes and stuff like that I think there's something wrong with them. But again, that's just my opinion. But because being attacked by a huge dog as a child is not fun. I can guarantee you there's going to be some trauma with that child if they manage to survive. It would just be – because I had that trauma. I'm terrified of, like, ginormous dogs. Like, even though I'm bigger than the dogs myself, if a dog is huge and it's past, like, my ankle, I freak out a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Hey, I appreciate the call, Anthony. Thanks for your side of the story and your input. Let's go to Ellie in Lebanon real quick. Hey, Ellie.
Hi. So I just wanted to say that I come from a long line of family that does have pit bulls. We've always owned pit bulls. That's really never been any other dog that we've ever owned. But my story kind of relates to the guy that I just listened to. My husband was attacked when he was about 3 or 4 years old, and it was by a cow. And it quite literally ripped his cheek off. So I do feel like they really only report on the pit bulls. They don't report on any of the other dogs that do make these attacks and do hurt children and things like that, because all you really hear about are the pit bulls.
So you said your husband was attacked by a cow?
A chow.
A chow. All right, cool. I appreciate the call. Well, not cool, you know what I'm saying. But I appreciate the call. I thought she said cow. I was like, we're going to ban cows, too. That's what the World Economic Forum wants to do. Let's go to Dixie real quick. You're up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Dixie?
Hi. I just wanted to tell you that my grandson was attacked by a pit bull, and he had 78 stitches. The pit bull was trying to get to his throat. His mother had taken him to a friend's house, and she knew they were training those pit bulls to fight. And I went to court and had that dog put down. And ever since then, I've hated pit bulls. I don't want to be around them. And the worst part was, well, it turned out it wasn't, but my grandson, he loves dogs. He loves dogs. And I was so worried after all this was over that he wouldn't want to be around dogs as much as he loved them. But he does. He still loves dogs. He still has a dog, not a pit bull. But I hate them. And I know people are going to probably say, don't blame the dog. I don't blame the dog. I blame the owners. But it doesn't make a difference with me. I hate pit bulls.
I get where you're at, and a lot of people feel the same way as you. A lot of people disagree. I could go either way. I've met great pit bulls, but you do see the stories. You do see the stories. It's interesting. We got time for one more call. Let's go to Sharon. You're up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hi, good afternoon. Hope you're having a good day. In college in Nebraska, in a psychology class that I was in, we did a paper, and there was a study done that pit bulls are the only dogs that have psychotic attacks, which they call schizophrenia. It's the only dog in the world that can have schizophrenia. This is why you can have the nicest pit bull, and then all of a sudden it attacks a child in the family, a mother in the family. They have a psychotic attack, and they call it schizophrenia, and it's the only dog in the world that carries it. So you could have the nicest dog ever, but if it carries that gene for schizophrenia, you're cooked.
That's crazy. I didn't know that, Sharon. Thank you for the information. I'll check that out. It's 11:48 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're going to check in with Matt Murphy next, see what he's got coming up on Murphy's show. He's doing noon to 3. Then Brian Wilson coming in for the drive this afternoon. And then tonight, don't forget, Super Talk Live, our official Christmas party, 4 to 8, scoreboard at Cedar Creek Marina. Come hang out with us, Mount Juliet. We want to see you there. Details at 997WTN.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN is 11:55. My name is Chris Hand, joined in studio by Matt Murphy.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. Can we start saying, I've always been weird about saying Merry Christmas too early. I love Christmas. So I've never been against happy holidays because I feel like on the 7th day of December, it's a happy holiday. By the time we get to like the 12th, the 13th of December, it's a Merry Christmas.
Nah, I feel like mid-November you can start with Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Take a day off
That's
for
cool.
Thanksgiving and then right back into it.
I will say I pulled out the Merry Christmas last night to someone, and it felt a little early. After I said it, I was like,
what I'm saying? You know what I'm
was
saying?
that weird? Maybe I could have waited.
I've never
I don't
done. I've never. I feel like Happy Holidays as a saying got the shaft because of liberals. That poor Happy Holidays never did anything to anybody.
What's going
now,
on?
Season's greetings to hell with Season's greetings.
Season's greetings.
But Happy Holidays never did anything to anybody. And then the liberals started insisting that you use Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas.
I was out, yep.
And poor Happy Holidays over there like I didn't do anything. I'm just here, man. I'm around. Anyway, hey Chris.
What's up? Are we switching keys?
No, so I got the trailer.
Okay.
I forgot the leg lamp because I was focused on the trailer, and I didn't realize. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a little tricky because I didn't realize how big the tree was until I saw it.
Mac called the venue, and we can get it in.
Yeah, we'll be able to get it in.
No, they're going to have to. They told me they're going to have to take, because it's on the water.
Oh, yeah.
And they've got those big sections of flaps like for the wintertime, and they've got to take a couple of those sections off for the tree.
Yeah.
But they can do it.
But it's doable. That's
it's doable.
Yeah, I knew that.
It'll be a multi-man process to get this thing in and out, everything, yeah.
And I just don't, is it netted? Because if it's not netted, we got to figure some things out because, anyway, we'll figure it out.
Let's do that.
Big tree tonight, man.
Big tree. It's a Christmas party.
Absolutely.
Scoreboard, Cedar Creek Marina, 4 to 8.
Come out and see my Lebowski.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm sporting.
He's got a nice Lebowski sweater on.
I'm sporting the Lebowski. I always wanted a Lebowski sweater, and my wife bought me one for last Christmas.
It's awesome.
Oh.
So I'm wearing it to the Christmas party. I'm all in, by the way.
It is.
Full hand credit. I'm all in. This is a Christmas party. I don't know what Dan's problem is, why we can't call it that. I don't know.
Yeah, he's not as festive.
He's kind of a Grinch.
I didn't want to say. I didn't want to say the G word. I didn't want to say the G word.
Trump was right, and Joe Biden was wrong.
Except it's Chris was right, and Dan was wrong. Yeah.
I don't. Can I give you? Can I give you?
I didn't know the context of that at first, but I was like, hey, I'll allow it.
Yeah. I want to give you kudos. I want to carry a subject over. I rarely do this. I mean, we talk about a lot of the same things, obviously, but I was listening on the way in, and one of my favorite conversations to have is this dog conversation.
Oh yeah, I mean, hey. I could go either way. I wouldn't have my feelings hurt if pit bulls were banned. They don't really bother me anyway. But I do feel like if I saw a stray pit bull and I was out on the streets with my kids, I'm keeping an extra eye on that dog.
Yeah, I mean, we're all prejudiced.
Yeah.
And prejudice, and this is where I start the conversation. Prejudice is not always a bad thing. In modern America, we've turned the word into always a negative thing. It's not always a negative thing. Prejudice can save your life.
Amen.
And that's what you're talking about.
All right, well, hang out with Matt Murphy. He's going to be carrying that conversation over. Everybody is, they're arguing amongst themselves on the super text line. It's like callers calling out callers.
Uncle Murphy will solve all.
Perfect.
Don't worry.
Murphy's solving the world problems afternoon until 3 o'clock. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.